Guys, and on this particular episode, I wanted to just kind of tell you another story time of something that happened in my early parts of ministry when a girl confronted me doing an evangelism in school. If you've heard my testimony, you'll remember I once mentioned I used to do this evangelism in schools and stuff like that. And so a girl came up and just confronted me. And it was during a period where I'd been talking about a certain subject, about things, but in it she almost had a pride with it about how I was completely misguided preaching to people and how they were going to win. She had a certain pride, a smile of pride. There was something very deep rooted in her. There was some anger towards me doing that, and you'll see in the series in the things that I will highlight in the story of how you actually see this. I believe that interaction, I didn't need to see a vision to know that I had to continue speaking the truth. That kind of made me very radical. After that, and I was already, like going out and skipping class and doing this just to go and evangelize. But when that girl came up and laid that confrontation, she solidified. No, the kingdom of darkness can't be this bold. So if it's your first time over here, we're not always talking about story times. We do what is known as apologetics, which is rebuking or standing or making a stance for the doctrine of Christ. And so if you haven't seen any of our videos, check the pinned comments. There are other videos that are done on today's episodes. Now, I was looking for the picture that kind of like would align, but I can't find it. I've lost a lot of pictures over the years, but I cannot find the particular picture, so I'm not sure exactly where I put it, but it's somewhere around here. And those kids were in that class, and what that girl did in that class would actually solidify these kids to like, what, we need to do these Bible studies. This is what happened. Now you'll know, when I started going to college, I used to go to CJC in Joburg CBD, Dorfontein, and so some of the schools that I would do evangelism for were right within the CBD. School, they started having like a couple of free periods because they were running short of teachers and stuff like that. So I would go in and fill in for those free thingy. If you've heard my testimony, you've heard me talk about this. So one day I was exposing, because I used to kind of like just I would hear the conspiracies of how these people in the Hollywood and whatnot and stuff, and I would use that information to go and expose the dark things in these kingdoms and print pictures, and I would print pamphlets and try and show these kids. If I didn't have a projector, because some of the days the school would give me projector, sometimes I'll go with a laptop. I didn't have a laptop. The school would borrow me the laptop about something along the lines of in particular, breaking down the lyrics of a song. Right in the middle of me talking about these things or breaking down this thing, I can't remember exactly what it was, but that girl, all along, she never said anything. And I'd been doing this evangelism for maybe about 6 months by this period. And I'd go to the school and then I'll talk. Never said anything, and I'll go maybe 2-3 times a week, 2-3 times a week during the week. And this particular day, she had just had it. She was tired of me coming in and talking and stuff like that. And so she, out of nowhere, she just stood up and said, "What you're talking is absolutely nothing compared to what it's going to be." She's like, so I think the song had something to do with how it was satanic. That's the only part I can remember. It was something to do with how the song was satanic and how it spoke of the cult, And so the girl came up and she's like, what you're saying is it's small talk. This is nothing. She's like, if you think this is bad, wait until Satan takes over. And she literally confessed to being a member. And I kid you not, I don't know how those kids didn't hear that girl, because there were very few kids in that school that heard her, They would continue on in rebellion. I think I once spoke about a particular kid that used to give me hard times, and unfortunately ended up doing away with himself and stuff like that, like a year or two after our interactions. But he would never listen to me. Like, he absolutely just didn't. So later on I found out why he was like that. And so this class, they would just completely not hear this girl. The girl literally confessed to being a Satanist in the class. And there was another guy who was this girl's friend, and then he came up and he's like, she's not joking. She's not joking. And he talked about how they try to get him into it and stuff like that. And so this girl stood up. She just came up and she's like, you think what you're saying is something? You have no idea. This is absolutely nothing. She was kind of like just demeaning, just in a sense of, yeah, Satan is gonna do this, we're gonna do this. But she wasn't like saying like Satan. She's like the master. She was just referring to him as the master. The master would do this and this. And she went on. I'm talking about, she went on a solo talk for a solid 2 to 3 minutes. For about 2 to 3 minutes. And at the end of it, to seal the entire thing, she pulled her sleeve and she showed this tattoo that she had. She said, why do you think I have this tattoo over here? It was a particular type of a tattoo. I can't remember what tattoo she had on her hand. But she had a tattoo on her leg that was a cross, and it had something else. I can't remember what it was. The girl was very specific. She showed tattoos. She had about two tattoos that she had. Everybody else just stood looking at her. They didn't even try to stop her or nothing. Even the other guy that said they were trying to get her in, he didn't say nothing. The others were actually laughing. There were other two girls that used to walk with her. They were just laughing. They were laughing. They were partying out of their mind. They were going hysterical. And when she was talking, she was approaching me. As she was talking, she used to sit like way at the back. And she got out of her seat and she's like, what you talking is nothing. And she's walking towards me. This is nothing. And she's got that girl attitude, she's putting attitude on it. She's talking and she's just going on and on. And then she flashes the tattoo. She says, why do you think I have this? And she flashes the one on her leg. And then she dipped it and then she put a little bit of attitude and then she turned and went back. Solid 3 minutes. And I remember when she said that, the school was about to go off. So the alarm was about to ring and stuff. So she did that. The moment she stopped and started going back, the alarm ring. The kids are up and they're going out. The kids are up and they're going out. And for a minute I was like, wait a minute, did these kids hear what this girl said? Everything I've been just talking from a theory perspective and just showing a bunch of pictures. She confirms it. Yeah, so what? So she throws thinking, and then immediately after she just turns and goes, the bell rings and the school is out. The kids, and I'm trying to kind of like, hey, you heard. It was as if the kids didn't even hear nothing. It was as if they didn't hear nothing. And so this girl walks out and she's like, she comes and she kind of gave me that look, to say, I had to check you. I had to kind of like check you. You think you're talking. And I tell you now, I was never, kid you not, I was never able to do a session in that class quietly. After that, I was never able to do a session in that class quietly. And I think I tried a couple of times, and the kids would just become noisy, like loud, to a point where the teachers just say, nah, just leave them. When I leave, they become a bit more quiet. I will not completely go quiet, but they'll come a little bit. So, but I was never able to do a session in that class. After that girl talked. Now I might go to other classes, but this particular class, I never did a class successfully. Like if I did like an evangelism thing, it would never really go the way. It would just be chaotic. Only 2-3 people are listening, or maybe 10 people, just a certain section. The rest is just going wild. The rest of the class is just going wild. There's all kinds of things going around. Ever since after that girl, never. And I remember maybe a month or 2 months after that, then this church started coming to this church, to the school, and started doing deliverances. And people were rolling on the ground, demons manifesting, what? And they would never preach. That's all they did. They just came in, they did their what. I won't say what church it was. There was still a church by the time, but then very quickly the church turned into a Sangoma convent. If at ever I thought maybe, I'm just preaching here and then try and get people to listen to the gospel and turn from these things and whatnot. At that moment, I was dead convinced. Maybe that's why I ended up just not focusing on it. Because after that, I was like, devils are this brave. The interactions like that, they change your thinking. And of course, later on, I meet direct Satanists that had quit and were Christians, and then they would kind of speak and you will hear them and whatnot. But with that girl particularly, that interaction completely changed everything. Everything. The class could not listen. What? And for me also, it built this thing inside me. The kingdom of darkness can't be this bold to publicly claim what it says, and nobody here. Only the people that were, the friend, the guy that I said there was a friend, who said he came and then he said, yeah, she's not joking. They do this thing and whatnot. Even he would start coming to the sessions after she publicly thingy, but he wouldn't last. Also, he didn't last. Before you know it, I remember by that time, roughly at the same time, he just got a girlfriend somehow, and then before you knew it, the girl just took him and he would stop coming to the sessions, just like that. I'm telling you, man, in evangelism out there, you see things, you see things, the confessions, that thingy, out in the open, straight. Girl said it, and it was as if these kids never even heard it.